Baseball. The definitive American pastime. There's no better way to spend a few hours on an afternoon than to go down to the ballpark and see a game. It's the smell of the fresh grass and the sound of the ball being thrown and hit about that make it so great. There are many different kinds of baseball video games. The best game for simulating realistic baseball nowadays is the juggernaut MLB The Show, which sadly is a PlayStation exclusive. Then you have other games such as Out of the Park Baseball, which is a management simulation. The focus on that game is to manage your team as if you are the GM. The Out of the Park games are very well put together, and they cater especially to fans who love the numbers side of baseball. Being that numbers is a huge part of what makes baseball so unique, Out of the Park fills that niche for those armchair GMs. And lastly, you have arcade baseball games like Slugfest, or games for kids like Backyard Baseball. If you remember Backyard Baseball, then you remember the legend himself, Pablo Sanchez. But this isn't a review about Backyard Baseball, Out of the Park, or the show. No, this is for a lesser-known baseball gem that's on Steam that has the mouthful of a title, Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings. Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings falls into the category with Slugfest. A realistic simulation of America's pastime it is not, nor is it a game filled with an abundance of charts and numbers that a fan of sabermetrics would enjoy. But if you're a fan of baseball and don't necessarily want realism, and you get bored of numbers, Super Mega Baseball is a great choice for you. Again, this is an arcade version of baseball. On the surface, it appears to be pretty simple. Once you dig into the game and see what it has to offer, it does get a little bit more in-depth and advanced. Upon starting up the game, the very first thing you'll notice is the cartoony style of the graphics. The big eyes, the big noses, arms, legs, and goofy hairstyles make the players of Super Mega Baseball have a uniqueness with their appearance that isn't really seen in other baseball video games. The gameplay is pretty typical to those gamers who have played baseball video games, and to those who are unfamiliar with baseball games, the controls are pretty easy to pick up and learn. You hold down a button basically to do any action in the game: throw, hit, run the bases, pitch, and field. While pitching, the goal is to match your circle with where you put the ball's location. The closer you are to the circle that you set, the better the pitch will be. There's also a timing element involved. If you release the button at the perfect point in the pitcher's windup, the pitch will be more effective. Same goes for batting. Timing is everything. You hold down the button to swing. The bat will automatically find where the ball is going as long as it's in the strike zone. This may seem like it takes away from the skill of baseball video game hitting, but I can assure you that it does not. As you hold the button while the pitch is approaching, a power number will quickly climb from 0 to 100. The closer you are to 100, the more powerful of a swing you'll heave. During an actual game, there's hardly a departure from core mechanics of realistic game like the show. The big differences of this game between the games like the show or MVP Baseball are seen in the management screens that you take control of between the games that you play. It is in these menus that the game adapts a handful of RPG mechanics. You get power-ups by getting contracts. Each player has a set of ratings similar to any other sports game out there. The differences here are that you can hire coaches that will help improve a specific stat. You can then put these coaches on a certain player, and that player will have that stat boosted for a certain number of games. The number of games differs from coach to coach and from contract to contract. In this game, there's a unique stat called Mojo. Basically, at any given moment in the game, your player's mojo can be affected. Give up a base hit as a pitcher, it goes down. Get a strikeout, and it goes up. Same for players when they're batting. If you get a base hit, home run, or do anything good, the mojo goes up. You can think of it as your player's confidence. The better you play, the better your players will perform. All stats are based on a 100-point scale. When it comes to contracts, you can affect the mojo there too. Certain items from certain coaches mesh with certain players. It's almost like a puzzle game within a baseball game, trying to figure out which coaches work well with which players the best, and eventually you can craft a team that is quite powerful. Lastly, there's a huge arcade part of the game too. Each action that happens is given points, or ego. Ego in this game is difficulty. You can adjust this between games as much as you please. There's a leaderboard that you can fight for top position. Your score is calculated through action mashed with ego you set for the game. It gives the game a nice touch of arcade callback while still keeping the core game of baseball apparent. Super Mega Baseball is a whimsical little baseball game. Think of it as a baseball puzzle RPG arcade. There are moments when the game shines and it's a lot of fun, and others where it just kind of falls flat. In my time with the game, I've noticed that rubber band AI is all too common. You can be absolutely cruising as a pitcher, hitting all of your marks, going 3 up, 3 down, inning after inning, and then the game decides that you shouldn't win and suddenly the opposing team starts hitting like the 1927 Yankees. It's frustrating. I've lost way too many games in the late innings due to the rubber band AI. It's a small part of the game, but a large enough fault that players who get frustrated easily might just want to quit after a few games. Luckily, the games fly by. You can play a 9-inning game in about 20 minutes if you set your pitches fast enough. The controls are built to play the game quickly. It's very easy to pick up and play, and it's also very easy to feel like you're playing well in a short matter of time. The game has a lot of character, which is good because you can customize any character you please. You can customize their looks based on predetermined skins, body types, and hairstyles. And for the girl gamers out there, you are not excluded. You can make a team of all girls. And being a baseball game, this makes sense because you know what they say, diamonds are a girl's best friend. All in all, Super Mega Baseball is a fun, simplified baseball game that focuses on behind-the-scenes differences more than the actual gameplay on the field. The RPG elements keep it interesting. The game lets the player have a wide control of customization so a team that you build truly feels like your own. It's a quick game of baseball, so if you're looking for an exact simulation of the American pastime, this game really isn't for you. But for those of you who want to play a baseball game without all the seriousness that comes with a franchise like MLB The Show, Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings is right up your baseline. Thanks for watching.